Hey guys, welcome back to Rocket Gyan, my fellow space tubers. Okay, so I am really very excited for this mission. I must say that because this will be if you don't know, this will be the record flight of the SpaceX Falcon 9 booster. And yes, this is the second launch of the day. I am so happy whenever there are so many launches in a day or in a week. Now I become so happy, but that also means that my work also increases. But no worries, I love doing this thing. So yeah, so I'll get we just a sec. Okay, yeah. So I'll get you to know everything you have to know about this mission. So just stay tight and relax and listen up. So here we go. Hi Dave, hi Angel, hi Joey, hi Anamika. Um, KSP simulation. Okay, so for today's mission, unfortunately, I won't be having a KSP simulation because I had such a little time. I tried so much for making it, but no, it wasn't. It requires at least some 6 to 7 hours for it to make editing and all those things. So yeah, I can't do that, but we don't require also for SpaceX mission as such, so it's okay. It won't be a big problem. So SpaceX, if you don't know, is a company making thing, this whole thing, whitish thing means this rocket, making this thing, the Starlink, making this thing. I can just go on and go on and go on. SpaceX is a company which we fantasize, which we dream, which we imagine of doing something. Okay, it is like that. Whatever we imagine, like I wish someone would have done this. SpaceX is doing that. You wish someone would have done made a internet satellite network. SpaceX is doing that. Starlink with this Starlink launches. You wish to go to Mars? SpaceX is doing that here with this rocket. You wish to go to ISS? SpaceX is doing that with this Crew 1 mission, means the human space flight mission with the Crew Dragon. And you want to go to Moon? SpaceX is doing that. And don't worry, in the coming time, SpaceX will be the frontier of asteroid mining also whenever that happens. So yeah, do watch out for that also. Okay. So yes, it is headed by Elon Musk, and yeah. So now we can have a look at the vehicle itself, and yeah, there we go. So this is the Falcon 9 vehicle which they will be reusing it today. It already has 103 launches in total, 64 total landings, 46 reflown rockets. I mean, whole sci-fi thingy and nothing else. So yes, yeah. So this is the booster. This is the Falcon 9 booster with two stages, one the upper stage and the one is the booster. So if you wonder why the rocket has stages in it, and minimum at least you require two stages. Yeah, there could be SSTOs, but they are not very efficient. So to make things most efficient, two stages are at least required. One is to boost out of the atmosphere, and one to fire up in the vacuum and circularize the orbit. So yeah, this is what we have here. It is a 70-meter tall rocket, which means 20 story building, 15 or 20 story building. Yeah, it can carry payload around 22.8 tons. Payload to geotransfer orbits 8.3, and payload to Mars. This thing single-handedly can go to Mars also around 4.4 tons to Mars. Are you serious? But yeah, this is, but the thing is, these all payloads and capacity which has been written here is when this thing is used in expendable configuration, which simply means when the booster is not reused. Okay, and the SpaceX is known for reusability, so yeah, they will be anyways reusing it. So this is the first stage, which has 9 Merlin 1D engines, thrust at sea level 7.607 kilonewtons, and yeah, the landing legs are obviously there to land on the drone ship. Okay, This is that. And the second stage is powered by a one Merlin vacuum optimized engine. And if you compare the size, if you want to compare the size of both these, one is 9 engine. Okay, so just imagine like this: the space occupied by 9 engines is occupied by one single Merlin vacuum engine. So you can just compare the size of this engine because of this huge nozzle it has. I mean, wow. It has a thrust of 981 kilonewtons, and yes, yeah, it also has its property of restartability. So then the interstage comes with the 4 grid fins, um, and yes, this thing houses the second stage, a big second stage engine also, and these grid fins are used for aerodynamic guidance. The payload is always there. So payload is today will be the Starlink satellites. We'll talk about that in a bit, but before that we'll talk about the engines. This engine is a Merlin engine, 1D engine, which means this is the most developed engine which they have right now for the Merlin versions, and it runs on RP1 and LOX as its fuel. One single engine can produce 845 kilonewtons of thrust. I mean, this just a single engine is producing this much of thrust, and there are rockets which whole first stage produces this much of thrust. So yes, this is going on with a good amount of you can say scalability. So yeah, uh, this runs on RP1 and LOX as its fuel, and runs on gas generator cycle evident from its pre-burner exhaust nozzle. So yeah, the vacuum is also is an optimized version. So yes, this is a Merlin vacuum engine which operates on RP1 and LOX as its fuel, and you can see the pre-burner exhaust being fed back into the combustion chamber to cool down the chamber as well as the nozzle. Because this thing does not use a regenerative cooling, what it does use is a radiative cooling. So this thing has the radiator on it, and sometimes radiator also needs some cooling because when it is in direct sunlight, means the nozzle is in direct sunlight, hit the sunlight is hitting the nozzle, then it heats up a bit, and there is an uneven heating also. One side is heated up and other side is fully cold. I mean, not fully cold, but yeah, it is not getting the heat. So yes, this thing helps in that. So yeah, that's what the rocket engineering is. See, the rocket science is not much difficult. Rocket engineering is so much difficult. Rocket science is like it is also difficult, but it is understandable, and there are some formulas and those things. So yeah, we can learn about it. But engineering takes a proper amount of uh, I mean proper amount of studying and also yeah. Then the mission profile, here we have, oops, okay, yeah, here we have the mission profile. So there is a normal mission profile. We have a launch, the ascent. Here we have the MECO, the stage separation, as well as the second engine start one. Then the second engine will go on to the orbit. The first stage will perform a flip maneuver, perform a grid fins will deploy first, and then it will perform a entry burn to slow down itself from the atmosphere. Then the aerodynamic guidance will happen when the atmosphere is thick enough, when it will fall back towards the other earth, and then the grid fins will guide it towards the drone ship. That's the use of grid fins. And talking about the second stage will just go to the orbit, but uh, yes, the fairing separation will happen and the payload separation will occur, but the payload separation will not occur like as it is, because there is an SES2, which is second engine start 2, which is occurring today as evident from their timeline, which means that this will be a pretty long mission of 1 hour and 4 minutes. They For some missions, for around 2 missions or so, SpaceX have they were following a different trajectory, which actually boosted their um, which actually reduced their mission time of to around 14 minutes or 15 minutes or so, which didn't include the SES2, which is the second engine start 2. So you can see the second engine will cut off and then again will restart after some time to circularize the orbit most probably. So yeah. that's about the mission profile. Then the payload. So here we have the payload. You can see here, the payload is nothing but a Starlink satellite which will be uh, going into space. This is the stack, which how it looks like. It looks pretty much like a building, and yes, you can compare it with a building of around 2 to 3 stories. So yes, um, there are 4 powerful antennas, and it is very sleek in design. You can see that it is very thin, and these are the solar panels obviously used to power the satellite as well as for the ion engines. Here you can see the singular solar array, and SpaceX has been in the controversy for the astronomical people, as in Starlink satellites destroying the night sky. But SpaceX has been listening to them, and have applied sunshades and some you can say painting or something like that, which actually reduces the, and also pointing the solar arrays to a particular location so that it does not reflect much of the light towards the earth. Yep, and the ion propulsion system is there. Star tracker is obviously there to you to know what is the orientation of the satellite. Yes, this is this is also there, autonomous collision avoidance thing, which means it can avoid the collision because it has the data and everything, trajectory of all the satellites which it is having in its fleet. So yes, it knows if its trajectory will collide with another Starlink satellite. So yes, it will change the trajectory accordingly, and that will happen automatically. And talking about these satellites, so this will actually be coming orbiting the Earth in a very low altitude of 550 kilometers. Traditional satellites which provides internet connection is around 1000 kilometers plus, which means they are in a geostationary orbit kind of. So yes, that's the reason why do you have so much high ping in your online gaming because of this thing. But with the Starlink, you will have a much higher ping because it is much closer to the Earth. So yes, that is pretty much the advantage, and the most biggest advantage of this thing is you can don't require any wires or any Wi-Fi connection, router or something like that. You just need to require a satellite dish, a power connection, that's it, and you will get the internet. So it's a pretty not handy tool. It does require some if you will pack all the stuff into uh, a suitcase, yes, it will require a suitcase for all this thing. It is not handy, but yeah, it is carryable. So if you are going to a certain place, you don't have any proper internet connection there, this is the thing. Yes, now we can have go back to the I mean, I have they come live, let me just see.
The black carbon fiber interstage, which you can see there at the bottom of your screen, and connected to that is the Falcon 9 second stage. Second stage has a single Merlin vacuum or MVAC engine. And once the first and second stages separate about 2.5 minutes into the mission, the MVAC engine will ignite for its first burn and then shut down for coasting. Today, we will be performing 2 second stage burns and deploying our Starlink satellites at approximately 1 hour into the mission. The 2 burns allow us to deploy our satellites into a circular orbit, which in turn helps them get to their final orbit much faster. Now you'll notice this large nose cone at the top of the rocket that you're looking at on your screen. This is called the fairing. That's where the stack of Starlink satellites is safely housed. The fairing protects the satellites from aerothermal heating, aerodynamic loads, and contamination during ascent. As you may know, space is a vacuum, so we will jettison the fairing halves to reduce some weight as the second stage continues on its journey to orbit. Today, we are using flight-proven fairing halves, and Miss Tree and Miss Chief, which you are looking at on your screen, will be attempting to recover them by wet recovery, meaning we will be retrieving them from the water. Now, weather is looking 90% favorable at the launch site, which you could see that beautiful view there with a slight chance of cumulus cloud development this morning. At a recovery site in the Atlantic Ocean, ground level winds are in the forecast today. Now, these winds are potentially stronger than what Falcon 9 has experienced on previous flights. Therefore, today's mission will be what we call an envelope expansion on our first stage landing wind performance, meaning we are going to test the wind limits of our vehicle upon landing. Now, with that, the vehicle, satellites, weather, and range are all looking good for an on-time liftoff just a few minutes from now.
I mean, SpaceX, wow.
Since our last launch in November of 2020, we've brought Starlink to a handful of new communities in the US, Canada, as well as the United
Kingdom. Guys, first of all, this is will be the 8th boosted landing. This is which will be actually the record one, and nailing that will also cause some kind of problem because of the old, I mean, yes, the booster is kind of old, so yeah, people could have thought that yes, old, so first of all just land it, don't test it properly. But now SpaceX is not like that. We will test it, we know our technology is very good and we will nail the landing. So just start up and test its capabilities towards the high wind. So let's, wow,
new infrastructure.
I
Our
don't have any
Starlinks were
words.
delivered to the community for use in residences, community buildings, and businesses. Here's a look at how Starlink is positively impacting the Pikangikum First Nation Reservation.
All the projects I've probably been involved in, this is, for me personally and professionally, the most rewarding one. I've never worked with a community or a customer or a client that's been more excited about something or happier. And I just, I don't know what could be more rewarding than that.
After many, many months of trying to get internet to Pikangikum through other means, Dave was really determined to find a different way. He began doing a lot of research and eventually reached out to SpaceX.
They went back and they got the approval, and they came back to me and said that Pikangikum was going to be the first SpaceX Starlink client in Canada. That changed everything from that moment on.
I work for Pikangikum Health Authority. I'm a community person who really believes in their community, and I hope that it gives the younger generations a little bit of hope. We're creating a pathway for the younger people.
It's a long time coming. The biggest thing will be accessing services. I think that was the biggest issue for us.
Guys, there are so many milestones which SpaceX is hitting with this mission. Obviously, one of them is they will be completing the 1,000 satellites fleet of Starlink satellites in orbit. If this mission is successful and they are able to deploy 60 more Starlink satellites, then it will boost the total number to 1,013 satellites in orbit. Just by a single company. I mean, wow. That is so much, so cool.
Before it was like three. Like three.
I never expected to see that kind of number.
Yeah, it's better than 60 kilobytes per second. That's actually how fast our internet was.
This solution can be used for healthcare, for education, for virtual court purposes. Anything that you can think of that's done virtually in another environment or in another city can now be done in Pikangikum in a remote fly-in community.
I can only think of the difference that it could make at the school for the students. Right now, because of COVID-19, all of our instruction is online.
From a perspective of policing, it's very difficult sometimes to do business in a timely fashion. A lot of challenges that we see right now, we're going to be able to overcome them due to the speed.
Just that we were a part of the project and that we had the pleasure to help them get this far is just awesome.
My goal has always been to start with the youth, the kids, the children. When that playing field isn't level, then we're doing something wrong. I think what we've done here is that there's still a lot of work to do, but at least they have access to technology and information, and hopefully that playing field is at least a little closer to being level.
It's pretty exciting, and I'm sure the community is just as excited as I am today.
Everyone deserves to have this kind of service because at this point in history, Internet isn't just a luxury, it's a need.
I'm just hoping that's the start of a great thing.
Exactly, it's a need. I mean, when you measure, talk about food, water, and shelter as one of the needs, so fourth need is nowadays is internet.
Is really proud to be able to help communities like the Pikangikum First Nation Reservation. Also, since our last mission in November, we signed up Marysville, Ohio, as well as the Wise County Public School District in Virginia, which will help bring satellite internet service to almost 50 families in that rural community who otherwise would have limited access to high-speed internet. And lastly, earlier this month, we expanded our Better Than Nothing beta program to include customers across the pond in the United Kingdom. Within the northern US and Canada and now the UK, we are focused on rural and remote areas where there is no easy access to fiber or cable. If you're interested in our service, head over to starlink.com for more information.
Wow. Wow.
We are
Simply wow.
currently just under T-minus 6 minutes from liftoff, and Falcon 9 is now moving into the final stages of the countdown. Our next event will be the transporter erector, or TE, retracting slightly away from the vehicle at T-minus 4.5 minutes. Now, the TE is that large trusted structure that you can see right behind Falcon 9 on your screen. We use the TE to roll the rocket out to the pad and raise it to its vertical launch position. The TE also routes the vehicle's fluids, power, and telemetry umbilicals from the ground systems to the rocket and satellites until Falcon 9 goes on internal power and clears the pad. At liftoff, it will retract even further in order to clear the way for Falcon 9's ascent.
Wow. They're just breaking records with this mission. I am so excited.
We're just under 25 seconds away from that TE retraction. You could see those white clouds around Falcon 9. That's what happens when the LOX hits the ambient air there.
Everything is looking good right now.
We're just waiting for that TE retraction. We've got a good, nice close-up view here.
Minus 4 minutes until the launch. We are hearing some good amount of rocket sound. So beautiful to hear.
Again, what you're looking at on your screen is the top of the vehicle. And that transporter erector should be retracting here soon. And there you could see it on your screen. It looks very slow and very slight, but there it is moving back. Now, the first and second stages are both nearly fully loaded with 1 million pounds of kerosene fuel and liquid oxygen. Super chilled liquid oxygen is our propellant oxidizer, and as I just mentioned, it's what's creating those white clouds that you can see right there on your screen. That happens when it's exposed to the warmer ambient air. First stage should finish prop loading in a second here, and second stage at T-minus 2 minutes. At T-minus 60 seconds, Falcon 9 is in startup, and what that means is that the rocket's autonomous internal flight computers have taken over the launch countdown. Now, they'll light the Merlin engines at about T-minus 2 seconds, and liftoff will be commanded at T-minus 0. We use T-Teb as our ignition fluid, and when it mixes with oxygen, it burns a green-colored flame, so you might see a green flash near T0. We then allow fuel into the thrust chamber, and the engine comes up to power for liftoff. Now, the Starlink payload continues to be healthy. The Falcon 9 team is tracking no issues on the rocket Weather is looking great, as you can see there on your screen, and the range is green for launch.
Oh boy. I really hope this mission is successful. I just want that. They're pushing their limits, and Starlink
And we just passed the T-minus 2
program is
minute
designed
mark.
for that.
Station locks closed out.
And there's that call out that LOX load is complete on both first and second stage.
This is
Just
also
about 15 seconds or so, we will start venting out the transporter erector liquid oxygen line.
There we go.
And there you can see it on your screen, those white clouds. As I mentioned, this is the venting, just clearing out the line on the transporter erector.
This is the fastest turnaround time also of around 38 days. So cool. They took 38 days for this
About
booster
15 seconds
to
or
make it
so,
flight ready.
Falcon 9 will be in startup. And stage 1 and stage 2 will begin pressurizing for launch.
It's happening, guys. T-minus 1 minute. Peter is in startup.
And Falcon
9 in startup.
There's that call out. Falcon 9 is in startup. And we're waiting for the go for launch from the launch director in a few seconds here.
And you can see some kind of a
Starlink, Falcon 9, LD is go for launch.
wow.
And
Foggy,
there's that
foggy
call
thing.
out that we are go for launch this morning. So at T-minus 30 seconds, all systems are go for launch. So let's listen into the terminal count and watch as Falcon 9 takes our Starlink satellites into orbit.
Wow, see that fog.
Stage 1 press for flight.
T-minus 15
seconds.
14
Falcon
13
9 is configured for flight.
12 11
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
ignition and liftoff. Falcon 9.
Falcon 9 switching downrange.
There you go. Falcon 9 carrying Starlink satellites to the orbit. Wow. It never gets old whatsoever. It never gets old.
Stage 1 propulsion is nominal.
So cool.
At T-plus 40 seconds, we've got a beautiful view of Falcon 9 successfully lifting off
Telemetry is nominal.
from Pad 39A at Kennedy Space Center, carrying our stack of Starlink satellites to orbit. And we are throttling down the vehicle, the engines, in preparation for MAXQ, or maximum aerodynamic pressure. This is the largest structural load that the vehicle sees on ascent, so slowing down the vehicle helps us pass through the short period.
MAXQ.
And there's that call out that we've passed through MAXQ. Now, in about a minute, we'll have 3 events happening. That'll be main engine cutoff, or what we call MECO, stage separation, and SES-1, which is second engine start 1. Now, MECO is where we shut down all 9 of those M1D engines on the first stage to slow the vehicle down in preparation for stage separation. And that's where the first stage separates from the second stage. First stage will start making its way.
Back is chilling.
First stage will start making its way back to Earth for landing, while second stage continues on its journey with the third event, which is SES-1, or second engine start 1. And that's where we light up the MVAC engine, and it propels the second stage along with the Starlink satellites.
And you can see the plumes
orbit.
and the Earth looking magnificent in the
Just
background.
got some awesome views on the screen. Such a beautiful morning. We're just about 15 seconds away from those 3 events: MECO, stage separation, and SES-1.
This is so cool. MECO is happening.
And MECO.
And here we go. This separation should happen now.
Stage separation confirmed.
Stage separation confirmed and second engine start confirmed. Here you go. Wow.
And ignition and throttle up.
And there you just saw MECO and stage separation on your left-hand screen. On your right-hand screen is the second stage.
Now comes the difficult part for
Waiting
today's
on
launch.
fairing deploy coming up here shortly.
Fairing separation confirmed.
And there you could see the fairing halves have been deployed, and you can see them falling back to Earth. And with that stage separation, that confirms the 8th successful flight for this Falcon 9 booster on ascent. So very exciting. And as a reminder, we will be attempting to recover the fairing halves today with our recovery ships Mystery and Mischief.
Now just sit back and let's see what happens, but I believe that they will stick to the landing. Although this landing
Now,
is a bit
Stage 2
experimental.
heads towards its targeted drop-off orbit. Stage 1 will execute 2 burns in order to make its way back to Earth. And that first burn is called the entry burn. That's where 3 of the 9 M1D engines will reignite. And this helps
Acquisition of signal, Bermuda.
This helps to slow the stage down as it re-enters into the upper parts of the Earth's atmosphere. The second and final burn for the first stage is the landing
We can
burn.
see
Each of the M1D
ice.
engines has 190,000 pounds of thrust, which is just enough to slow down the vehicle rapidly to touch down for landing, as the landing burn is just a single engine burn. And again, this is the vehicle's 8th flight, so it is our life leader.
Yep.
It has completed a successful ascent and stage separation, so let's see if we can land it for the 8th time, which will be a first for Falcon 9.
Both vehicles are following nominal trajectories.
It's so cool.
You heard that call out that both vehicles are nominal. We're just a little over a minute away from that entry burn start on the first stage. And what you see on your screen is a view looking forward on the left-hand screen. Now we've changed to the looking aft on first stage. And on your right-hand screen is a view of that MVAC engine on second stage.
It should be falling back down.
That second stage engine, that MVAC engine, has a thrust of 220,500 pounds of thrust in a vacuum. It's a pretty powerful engine there.
If needed, they can have a
And
second
we're
launch
just
site.
about 20 seconds or so away from that entry burn on the first stage. You can see those grid fins are deployed, helping to steer the vehicle. And we do use nitrogen gas burst for attitude control.
Stage 1 FTS is saved.
Looking so beautiful. Just mesmerized in the view only.
Stage 1, entry burn startup.
Entry burn has started successfully.
There's that call out and visual of the entry burn on the first stage on your left-hand screen. So it lasts about 20 seconds long.
Just a bit short of 20 seconds. Or around what?
Stage 1, entry burn shut down.
And here
And
we
that
go.
concludes the entry burn on first stage. And as a reminder, at our recovery site in the Atlantic Ocean, ground level winds are in the forecast today. These winds are potentially stronger than what Falcon 9 has experienced on.
Nominal trajectories.
That was just a call out that everything is nominal.
Fingers crossed, guys.
These winds are potentially stronger than what Falcon 9 has experienced on previous flights. Therefore, today's mission will be what we call an envelope expansion on our first stage landing wind performance, meaning we're going to test the wind limits of our vehicle upon landing. So let's see if we can stick this landing today. Again, it also will be the 8th landing if we do land this vehicle. And we're just about 30 seconds away from that landing burn start on the first stage. And what you're looking at on your screen is a nice view of the second stage. still looking nominal.
Wow.
Stage 1, landing burn, startup.
There's that call out. Landing burn has started on first stage. Let's see if we could stick this landing. There's a view of the drone ship on your left-hand screen.
Something is coming on. Oh.
Stage 1, landing leg, deploy.
Okay. Oh, looks like it will be. Oh.
Looks like we lost that live view on the first stage. We'll wait for confirmation. And there you can see on your screen, we have landed the Falcon 9 for the 8th time. This is our life leader.
Wow.
What an amazing morning. That is an awesome view. And we're just waiting for SECO 1 on second stage.
They tested their limits and were successful. Wow.
And there's that call out for SECO 1. Waiting for confirmation of good orbit.
Nominal insertion.
And here we go.
And there's that call out for good orbit on second stage. What an exciting morning. We've landed that first stage for the 8th time. And now that second stage is going to coast.
Signal, Newfoundland.
Second stage is now going to coast in this orbit for the next 35 minutes or so. And while that happens, take a look at this, the animation. We'll have an animation showcasing where we are in the coast phase. So we'll see you back here at T plus 45 minutes for that second stage relay.
Wow. Wow. It actually survived to, exactly, Angel, it actually survived to fly some another day, and I'm so happy they did this experimental thing with their life leader booster. I mean, wow. This is so amazing to think about, and they are doing it. This is so cool. I really like. I wasn't expecting it to be bullseye. I thought there could be some you can say error in the flight, in the landing. Maybe it will land at the edge or something like that. But no, it landed right near the center, and yes. Wow. But initially initially there was some splash in the ocean, and I thought that it must be landing near the ocean, at that spot, because there was some splash, and maybe Falcon 9 exhaust was doing something, don't know. But obviously this drone ship was also vibrating with the plumes coming out of the ship. So yes, it landed on the drone ship. Wow. Yes, Iron, the Space Explorer. And now we'll just wait and let it coast for the SECO 2, means the SES 2, sorry, the second engine start 2, which will mostly circularize the orbit. And as they say, they will this type of configuration which they were doing from starting only, and they
lost the signal, Bermuda.
Okay. And they changed it for 2 flights or so to make the launch sequence a bit shorter, but actual deployment and actual operational sequence of the Starlink satellites a bit longer. So this means the Starlink satellite will be able to go towards their targeted orbit a bit shorter this time. So yeah, they will take a bit shorter time. Yes, Octograpper, incredible, fully incredible. Just pushing their limits. This Starlink satellite constellation idea of launching the satellites to space and earning business. I mean, wow, the Elon Musk actually, if I can think of like this, they have actually tested the limits of Falcon 9 with the Starlink satellite constellation, as well as have deployed the Starlink satellites into the orbit, hence getting business from the Starlink satellites also. I mean, wow. Two kills from one bow. That's what they say, right? From one arrow, sorry, yeah. So yeah, this is so cool. And they actually have never failed with the Starlink mission also. They haven't any failure with the Starlink mission. They have tested the capabilities of the Falcon 9 rocket, and they have never failed. This is, I mean, wow. Maybe the booster landing they messed up once, but yeah, the booster landing they messed up once, but not the primary mission. The primary mission actually went surprisingly well for every mission. This is unbelievable. Exactly, Porja Monto. Now if you guys have any other question, you can ask me, and let's see what happens now. As you can see, the speed and the alt speed, okay, it is decreased, and that means they are in the telemetry receivable area. So yes, they are getting the telemetry, maybe. Yes, they are. And then talking about the map screen which you are right now seeing, the blue orbit represents the blue orbit represents the orbit which it has to go, which will be the next orbit. Yes, that is it. And talking about SpaceX mission, SpaceX also has a mission planned tomorrow with their another awesome mission coming up, the rideshare mission, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, that's the rideshare mission, the transponder rideshare mission. That's what they call it, right? Transporter one, dedicated sun synchronous orbit mission. And yes, so this is a busy week for SpaceX, that's for sure. Tomorrow also they have a launch. Now just sit back and enjoy the music and let it coast towards the orbit where it has to start its engine.
Acquisition of signal, Goon Hilly. Suspected loss of signal. Goonhilly. Acquisition of signal, Diego Garcia.
Welcome back to the webcast for Starlink. We had an on-time liftoff this morning at 8:02 a.m. Eastern Time, followed by the completion of the first 8th flight and recovery for this booster, which is a first for Falcon 9, and despite those stronger winds. Today marks our 65th landing of Falcon 9 and 72nd successful recovery of a first stage. We're now just waiting for the relight of our second stage, or SES-2, coming up here in a few seconds. It'll be a short 1-second burn. Just waiting for that call out. Again, it's just a 1-second burn, so it's very quick, but it does go a long way for this second stage.
Nominal orbit insertion.
And there we heard that call out for good nominal insertion. Again, we just had SES-2 and SECO-2, just a quick burn of that second stage engine. We have another 15-minute coast phase before we deploy our next batch of satellites into orbit. And during this time, the spacecraft will start to spin along its central axis, giving the Starlink satellites the momentum they need to space themselves out over time after they deploy. While this happens, sit back and enjoy the space jams. We'll see you back here at T plus 1 hour and 4 minutes.
Expected loss of signal. It's Diego Garcia. position to signal Tasmania.
So guys, welcome back everyone, and now is the time for the deployment of the satellites, which looks pretty awesome. So we are here, and I just got to know that Angel, who's my mod, has become a Patreon. Thank you so much, Angel, for becoming a Patreon. Really appreciate it, and more awesome content coming up. Thank you so much for supporting us. And yes, so tomorrow we have a SpaceX launch, and let's see what I can do about it. I don't know, for SpaceX launch, does it require animations? They are so much perfect by itself only. So I don't know. If you guys say, then I'll make that. But whatever you want, I'll do that. Just tell me, for SpaceX launches, do you require those, or just the raw footage from provided by the SpaceX? Oh wow, see this view of the Starlink satellite, and when, wow, the sun rising on from the setting down, or yeah, it is setting, I think so, in the horizon. Wow, looking so awesome. It is setting, yeah. Not in a polar orbit, the orbit, passing just yeah, okay, so in an inclined orbit. Yeah. And you can see the RCS thrusters, ice.
Again, our Life Leader vehicle completed the first 8th flight and recovery for a Falcon 9. Now we're coming up on the deployment of our stack of Starlink satellites in just a few seconds here. So we will listen in and watch live as the payload deploys.
Wow. See the view of the Earth. I mean, just wow. Looking so much sci-fi movie like this.
We've got the sun beaming into our camera view there.
And what a right time to deploy the satellites. Wow.
What you are seeing live are those Starlink satellites in space, drifting away from our second stage, which confirms deployment. Shortly, they will deploy their solar array, and over the next few days and weeks, they will distance themselves from each other and use their onboard ion thrusters to make their way to their operational orbit.
This was such a beautiful deployment.
Beautiful live view.
Wow. It was looking like a movie scene, literally a movie scene. That's how you make a movie scene, right?
And that brings our webcast to a close. Thank you to the range and the FAA for supporting today's mission. And thanks to all of our viewers, as well as all of those in the US, Canada, and the UK who ordered Starlink under our public beta program. If you're interested in being a part of our beta program, head over to starlink.com and sign up. Thanks for joining us, and have a great day.
Wow. What we just witnessed was phenomenal, extraordinary. Wow. I mean, first of all, SpaceX, yeah, we know that it never fails to amaze us, but today with what we witnessed was simply out of this world, with the booster landing first, and then this satellite deployment. This is so cool. Everything is so cool. I mean, wow. First of all, you got to see that we had a beautiful landing, and the landing was an experimental one, right? It was not a regular landing which they do, and the booster also was a senior in their fleet, right? The most senior in their fleet. And now it is secured and it has landed, so it will most probably fly again for another Starlink mission. It will be a Starlink mission only, that's for sure. It won't be it won't be flying with some customer satellite, because no customer will agree. I mean, first of all, you have to prove your what you say, that you can fly it for these many of times, and then customers agree. Like and NASA agreed to fly on the reused boosters. Now we don't know how many times reusable, but yes, NASA has agreed to fly on the reused booster. So SpaceX is progressing on to that, but in the next mission of this will be obviously the Starlink mission, and we will see it. So this thing, so today they accomplished one other milestone by expanding their envelopes, as they say, envelope expansion experiment, in which they tried to land on the drone ship with the high ground winds, and they landed successfully with the bull's eye precision. That was so cool to watch. And yeah, the views of the Earth from the space, it was phenomenal. With the last deployment, that was so sci-fi movie like, and it wasn't looking like it is a real thing which you are right now seeing. It was made a CGI computer made imagery or something like that. So yeah. So yes, I think we are now, yes, we can now end the stream, and if you have questions you can ask me. And thank you, Louis Smith. Thank you all the mods for moderating the chat, and you will be seeing me again tomorrow with another launch of the SpaceX only. and that is also a special one, so do look out for that. And yes, thanks Angel for becoming a Patreon, really appreciate it. And yeah, thanks Octagrabber. Now until then, okay, then we can go and do whatever work we are doing. So until then, this is Pianshu Roila. You just saw Rocket Gyan. Stay safe, stay healthy, and bye bye.